Welcome to this explainer. The landscape of the everyday car is going through a massive, massive transition right now. Honestly, if you just strip away all the hype, ignore the hardcore brand loyalty, and look purely at the balance between what a vehicle costs and what it actually gives you in return, well, two standout electric vehicles emerge as the absolute kings of value and quality. We're talking about the MG4 and the Tesla Model 3. These two are quite literally defining the new era of everyday driving. Now, they're very different machines, right? They're playing in entirely different leagues, but they both represent the ultimate benchmark for modern buyers. So, let's explore exactly why that is, and more importantly, let's figure out how long we can actually expect these things to stay on the road.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to take a mental trip back to the 1990s with me for a second. Think about the parking lots back then, your neighborhood streets, that super distinct sound of manual gearboxes, and, the ever-present smell of exhaust. What did the automotive landscape actually look like to you? There was a very distinct hierarchy of everyday cars that you literally saw everywhere, just parked on every single corner. We're not talking about the million-dollar supercars on a teenager's bedroom poster here. We're talking about the cars that actually moved people, the cars that completely defined everyday life. Because to truly understand what the MG4 and the Tesla Model 3 are achieving today, we first need to understand the dynamic between two absolute automotive legends from that 90s era.
So, back in the 90s, the roads were dominated by a very specific dynamic. On one hand, you had the Fiat Punto. This was the ultimate practical car. It was convenient, it was affordable, and it was quite literally within reach for almost everyone. It got the job done brilliantly without breaking the bank, even if that meant dealing with the occasional, let's say, quirky breakdown. But then, on the other hand, you had the Volkswagen Golf. Now, the Golf was a bit more expensive for sure, but it was universally considered a real step up. It offered a higher level of quality, much more advanced technology for the time, and a way more refined driving experience. People really aspired to the Golf when they had a little extra cash to spend, while the Punto was just the undisputed champion of mass accessibility. It was this perfect duality, right? Pure practicality versus premium refinement.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we are seeing today in the electric vehicle market. If you map that classic 90s analogy to our modern EV era, it reveals some truly striking parallels. Today, the MG4 is essentially the Punto of electric cars. It's out there offering an incredible amount of value at a genuinely accessible price point, and the Tesla Model 3? Well, that's the modern-day Golf of EVs. It definitely costs more upfront, but it delivers a significantly more refined, elevated, and just premium overall experience. Now sure, it's not a perfect one-to-one physical match. The MG4 is a modern compact hatchback, while the Model 3 is a larger, superior category sedan. But conceptually, this is exactly how they are positioning themselves to completely dominate the current market.
Let's focus on the MG4 for a second, because this car is the huge surprise that virtually nobody saw coming. Very few manufacturers have managed to pull off what MG has done here, which is offering a truly modern electric car without demanding some prohibitive, sky-high price tag. It's the kind of car that naturally makes you look at it and ask, wait, does it really cost so little for what it actually offers? Just think about what you're getting for your money here. We're talking about a car with rear-wheel drive, a genuinely solid driving range, and remarkably pleasant driving dynamics, plus it comes packed with a super rich suite of standard equipment right out of the box. It's just one of those rare vehicles that makes you do a double take at the price sheet, absolutely cementing its reputation as one of the best value-for-money EVs you can buy right now.
Now, if the MG4 is all about that unexpected affordability, the Tesla Model 3 shows us exactly why spending a bit more makes perfect sense. It is playing an entirely different game. The Model 3 boasts incredible energy efficiency, which basically means it just consumes way less power for every single mile you drive. It charges incredibly rapidly, and it gets frequent over-the-air software updates that constantly refine and actually improve the car long after you've driven it off the lot. But honestly, its biggest triumph is how it makes long road trips totally seamless. That's all thanks to its deeply integrated route and charging planning. Seriously, after just a few months of ownership, it becomes completely clear why Tesla owners are so intensely satisfied. It might not be flawless, but its overall technological ecosystem is without a doubt one of the most complete on the market today.
Which brings us to the most fascinating mystery of this entire explainer. Those old Puntos and Golfs we were just talking about, they often survived for 20 or even 30 years. And why is that? Mostly because they had relatively simple mechanics. If the engine broke, your local mechanic could fix it up with some cheap parts, and the electronic systems were incredibly basic. But modern electric cars are fundamentally different beasts entirely. So the core question we really need to answer today is this. Can these highly complex modern EVs actually survive the test of time like their 90s predecessors did? Do the MG4 and the Model 3 have the DNA to still be on the road decades from now? To answer that, we first have to look at what they don't have. The beautiful simplicity of EV mechanics is genuinely staggering when you actually break it down. In these cars, you have no clutch to burn out in heavy stop-and-go traffic, you have no complex traditional gearbox that's going to need a rebuild, there is no oil to leak or constantly change, there is no timing belt just waiting to suddenly snap and destroy your entire engine, and there's no turbine or turbocharger to fail on you. Because all of these highly stressed mechanical parts are simply gone, the electric motor and that single-speed transmission have the incredible potential to last for a very, very long time. We're talking easily sailing past hundreds of thousands of kilometers without even breaking a sweat. Mechanically speaking, they are remarkably robust.
So the crucial point is, if the motor isn't what kills the car in 20 years, what will? Well, the big question mark over the lifespan of these cars isn't really mechanical at all. It's the ecosystem. Survival to old age for an EV relies heavily on the battery, the complex electronics running everything, and most importantly, the repairability ecosystem. Just because the electric motor can happily spin for 30 years doesn't mean the car itself is going to survive. As these vehicles age, their ultimate lifespan is going to be dictated by things like the availability of independent spare parts, the cost of complex electronic repairs, ongoing software support, and a big one, whether you can easily repair a battery pack module by module rather than being forced to replace the entire, massively expensive unit.
But hey, before you get too worried, let's actually look at the data, because the early evidence we have is incredibly encouraging. We are already seeing high-mileage Teslas out on the roads that still retain fantastic residual battery capacity, even after hundreds of thousands of kilometers on the odometer. Furthermore, both the MG4 and the Tesla Model 3 utilize LFP, or lithium iron phosphate, battery chemistry in several of their versions. Now, for those of you following EV tech closely, you know this is absolutely crucial. LFP batteries are specifically designed to handle a massive number of charging cycles. They can reach very high mileage before losing any significant portion of their capacity. So the heart of the EV, the battery itself, is actually proving to be remarkably resilient.
Which leaves us pondering a final, pretty provocative thought. Will we still see these exact cars circulating in, say, 2055 or 2060? I firmly believe the Tesla Model 3 is going to be remembered as the iconic symbol of this first true generation of mainstream electric cars, just like the Golf was for traditional compacts. And the MG4? That's going to go down in history as the crucial vehicle that finally made electric driving truly accessible to the masses. From a purely mechanical standpoint, they absolutely have the potential to last until 2060, but their ultimate fate won't be decided by their electric motors. It'll be decided by the repair ecosystem that builds up around them over the coming decades. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it provided some key insights into the mechanics and the fascinating future of our everyday cars. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you next time.